Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing on this lovely Thursday evening? Here in the DMV, the weather was 75 to 77 degrees. It ain't been this warm since last summer. But yeah, so a lot of people was outside enjoying the day, but I had to work all day. Now, one thing I would say is, first of all, I just want to talk about in this video tonight about the team as a whole. All right. So I've been talking to my fellow YouTubers. I've been talking to you guys in the comments, and everybody's got different opinions. What's going on? I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You get different insight. That's what it's all about. Um, Something that came out that really made me want to say something is the fact that Jason Garrett is the coach of this team. He has now been the coach of this team for 7 years. Most teams that have a coach longer than 5 years have won a Super Bowl. We've had him on this team now for 7 years as the coach, but he's been the offensive coordinator for years before that, and he also played for this team. Now, granted, he had stints with Miami and other teams as being coordinators for them too, but Cowboys have been his stalemate. Now, I feel like if the Cowboys don't do anything this year, as far as making the playoffs, which I would be pissed if we don't, because we have too much talent not to, Jason Garrett's out the door. Most coaches don't make their last contract to the point where they play to the end of the contract. I mean, they coach to the end of the contract. Most teams either resign them or they cut them. I mean, fire them because he's not a player, but you know what I mean. Fire him. So at the end of the day, it's put up or shut up. This coaching staff now has done good things. They have done bad things. The inconsistency of the team, I feel like, has been the biggest issue. If you look at our records the last decade, like we've had a lot of 8-18 seasons. A lot of those were because of Tony Romo, because we should have been 4-12, because of the simple fact that Tony Romo was the reason why we won a lot of those games when he was here. Now, Dak and Tony are two totally different players. Now, I'm not saying that Dak can't eventually be like that because Tony Romo had years in. Tony Romo didn't play to his third year. So, Dak played day one. And he still has to learn how to see the way Dak throws the ball. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when Dak throws the ball, he throws to his target, not necessarily the player. He throws to where the player is supposed to be. That's a lot of reasons why you've seen the ball go high sometimes. That's why you've seen if the player's not running their route, like if Dez wasn't running his route or whatever other player wasn't running their route, they would miss the ball because of the simple fact that he was he's throwing to where they're supposed to be, where the play is. And with that being said, Dak probably has to learn how to adjust to the wide receivers that he has on his team, which in turn is the reason why you train with your guys in the off season. Is the reason why you work hard throughout the week before and after practice. Because if you want to be a winning franchise, if you want to be a player that's going to make a lot of money, you got to work hard. Sometimes you got to put that extra credit in. Just like when you were in school, you do extra credit to try to make up things or try to make things better so you can bump your grade up. In this instant, you're trying to bump your pay up. So I feel like Dak will learn these things as he goes along. But again, he has to have more command of this offense. I feel like this offense is not to him yet. Hopefully this offseason and with these OTAs that we're going to have coming up and with training camp that they switch up the play calls because we lost a lot of players this offseason, and you already know Mr. Oscar the Grouch, Orlando Scandrick, going to be telling them what our plays are. So they better be changing stuff up. They better be switching things out because if they don't do that, teams going to know what we're going to do. I mean, you already have tape on teams. You can see what their strengths and weaknesses are already. Now, if they know what your calls are, Yeah, you can't be you can't be that transparent. You got to be able to do these things. And when Jason Garrett made the comment, I guess it was today, he said that Dak knows he needs to get better. Yeah, that's true. Dak will get better because Dak is a hard worker. I believe that. But Jason Garrett, you got to look in the mirror, bro, because you as the coach need to do better too because you have not. Now, one strength of Jason Garrett, we all know that he's a great motivator. He's a great speaker. He can get these players. He can speak them out their mind. Like he teaches them how to talk to the media, and you can tell when they answer questions, they sound like Jason Garrett because he puts that mantra in their mind. He's a Princeton graduate. He's a smart guy, but the problem with that is he's smart, but he thinks that he's smarter than everybody else. He thinks that he's a one-sided thinker. He has to do a better job at thinking outside of the box, just like I tell you guys too. You have to think more than one way when it comes to anything in life. But as we're talking right now, football, you have to basically think outside the box. You have to like just look at things in a different light. Now, Jason Garrett. Now, I don't think that Jason Garrett coaches during the game. I think that Jason Garrett is a coach during the week. I believe that he's a Monday through Saturday coach. When Sunday comes, like my man Mark Holmes says, he's Mr. Clapper. And I know y'all fed up with that because everybody, even people that are not fans of the team, know that that's Mr. Clapper. He doesn't have any emotion on the side of the field. I mean, that's just the way that he is. Now, I would like a coach. Hopefully, when his time is up, I hope we get a coach in here that can light a fire under these players' asses. That players that we may have that are doing stuff they're not supposed to do. That he could be that one to let them know straight right when it's happening. Cut that shit out. Get your head back in the game and play. Um, Des Bryant leaving, well, potentially leaving, is going to be the most talked about topic up until the draft, up until after the draft, whenever they decide to make a decision on him. Me personally, it's funny because Jerry Jones wants to be. Jerry Jones wants Dak to be. I mean, wants Dez to be here. He's openly said it. But when you talk to Stephen Jones, it's like he don't want to talk about it. It's like he feels a different way about Dez. He has said in the past, and even in the last couple of weeks, that hey, Dez loves his team. We love Dez, blah blah. But we have to make decisions when we make decisions. So you got to read between the lines when you hear Stephen talk. And I'm gonna tell y'all something just to put another thing in perspective for you. I believe that the roles on this team are changing as far as the staff. And you can already see it happening. Jerry Jones is starting to creep out a little bit as being hands-on. If you notice back in, from '05, '06, like earlier in the 2000s, what did everybody criticize the team for, Jerry Jones? Oh, he's too involved. He shouldn't be the GM and the owner. He needs to make another GM, give somebody else a job, this and that. Now you're starting to see that happen. You're starting to see that both Will McClay and Stephen Jones are taking over this team. Now, is it for the better? I love Will McClay. Stephen, I know that he's a no-nonsense guy, which is probably good. He looks at it like this. He's going to set an example when he can. Now, I don't know if he's trying to set an example by being the way he is with Dez. We don't know. But the writing is on the wall. Now, like I told y'all before in the last video, I would love to see Dez still be here another year just so we can see how these new addition wide receivers that we got can play with him and hopefully better Dez and make him be what we know that he can be. It's funny because, like I said before, everybody has their depending on their opinions on Dez. Some people want him here. Some people don't want him here. Some people are on the fence. If he's here, he's here. If he's not, he's not. If he leaves, I'll be sad for a week, but then after that, I'll get over it because again, something has to happen. They they definitely have to cut that money of his. Whether he takes a pay cut or not, that's up to Dez. Now, I know for a fact that Dez loves this team because I pay attention to him and he talks about it all the time. Now, I don't know where his mindset is right now because I don't know him personally, but I just go by what I see and what I research. Now, I try to, like, again, you guys know I keep it real. I try to think outside the box. I try to figure out what is this player thinking or what is this coach thinking when he's doing this. I try to put myself in their shoes. What would I do in that situation? You see what I'm saying? And I want a lot of you guys to think like that too, because when when you see that people make certain decisions or they do certain things, you're like, well, why the hell would he do that? Sometimes you got to look at it like, okay, well, maybe this and this happened to make this and this happen, and this is a result of this, which caused this. So, in essence, you have a rift going on right now, and you see a shift of power going on from Jerry to Steven and Will McClay. Now, we started seeing that shift ever since Jerry got fined that $2 million. I don't know if that humbled him. I don't know if he looked at that was like, oh my God, I almost lost my team, because they very well could have voted him out and he could have lost his team. I mean, that very well could have happened. But again, it's still going to be in the Jones family regardless because their kids are going to take over. Jerry is getting older, and Jerry not going to live forever, but I'm not going to disrespect Jerry because I like Jerry. I like what he's done. Jerry got into the Hall of Fame for a reason, because he changed the game. If you guys have been Cowboy fans long enough, you know about that Nike deal from Texas Stadium, that sponsorship, and he was an innovator. I mean, I think the Cowboys were one of the first teams that had like the media department literally had their own thing going on. They worked as their own unit. He revolutionized stadiums. I mean, he did things big, and other teams followed suit. Look at what the Falcons did. Look what the Vikings did, with their new stadiums. Like, if you look at it, they took a page out of Jerry Jones' book. And, back then they were like, Jerry, what are you doing? What are you doing? But what Jerry did back then paved the way for a lot of people that work for the NFL right now. If you look at, like, all these sponsorships that the NFL is getting, he made the NFL a lot of money. And there's no denying that. And I gotta respect the man for that because he did his due diligence. He did his thing. Now, when yes, he made bad decisions. We're human. We all make bad decisions from sometimes. But sometimes you gotta gamble, and that's what he did. If you feel in your heart, and I'm gonna put this in perspective for you, whatever it is that you want in your life bad enough, you're gonna gamble for it because you feel like you're betting on yourself. And that's what Jerry did when he bought this team. Yeah, it wasn't rocky. He bought a bad team, and he potentially made it good. When he got rid of Jimmy Johnson, that was a wrong idea. But we probably could have won 2 more Super Bowls in the 90s if it wasn't for that. But things happen for a reason. And you can't change it. You can't deny that he revolutionized the game. He did do that. Like I said, a lot of media people and a lot of people in this league have jobs and are making great money because of Jerry. The NFL makes millions because of Jerry. These players are getting much bigger contracts than they were back then because of the rise of the NFL. Not saying that Jerry is the sole reason, but he was a big contributor to that. And that is the reason why he made it to the Hall of Fame. Now, a lot of people criticize Jerry. Okay, the dude's in his 70s right now. I mean, dude got so much money, he don't even know what to do with it. Shoot, I wish I could have been in the Jones family. Shoot, adopt me. Shit. But, it is what it is. Now, we got to do something about this coaching staff. Now, what I said in the last video, we cut the body out and got new assistants and things of that nature, but the head and the foot is still there. Now, that head and the foot better get their head into the game this season, because if not, we're going to be right back at square one. What you going to do? You're going to have to get rid of him. We're going to have to find another coach, because Doug Peterson became the coach of the Eagles, and he turned that shit around, and they won the Super Bowl. Their first Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. So, again, what I'm saying is, it's not impossible. It could be done. With the talent that we have on this team, I feel like if we be more creative, we can get shit done. Even with Dez here, I believe that we can get it done. Dez can still play ball. There are cornerbacks in this league that still respect him. Patrick Peterson, they're like this. They respect each other. Patrick Peterson is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He respects Dez. Every player goes through their shit, and they just, sometimes you got to refine yourself. Sometimes you lose track of yourself, and you have to find that. Now, I hope that the Cowboys don't give up on him. I think that the reasons why this team downfall, the team downfall as a whole, it wasn't just Dez. It wasn't just Dak. It wasn't just this O-line. It was the whole damn team. It was different games that happened. It was Ezekiel Elliott not being here for 6 games. It was the fact that when he wasn't here, I felt like the team gave up. I felt like the coaching staff gave up when Zeke wasn't here. I feel like they just sat there and was like, well, we can't win without him. But then you got players sitting there like, well, you don't have faith in us? We can get it done. They didn't put... The craziest thing, I kept saying this all season last year, they didn't play Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden was healthy for most of the part, or most of the time. You didn't give him, you didn't even dress him for most of the season. Alfred Morris, I still think that he's still good. They played him, and then when they did play him, he got like, what he had? He averaged like 4.8 yards a carry. But they stopped running the ball, and I'm like, why did you stop running the ball? He was doing his thing. He was getting the ball. He was getting yardage. It's almost like they put so much emphasis on a specific player, but when that player is not there, they don't have a backup plan. They're like, we're gonna lose this game because Zeke ain't there, or when Tony was quarterback. When Tony Romo, you already know that that's how this team is set up. Perfect example of this. When Tony Romo was the quarterback, you had Brandon Wheaton here, Matt Castle as backups, and they came in and did diddly squat. Why? Because the team was geared towards Tony. When you put a different quarterback in a game, you have to have a different set of fucking plays for that quarterback to play with. You can't run the same scheme because every quarterback is different. Again, now that Dak is on his team and he is now the quarterback, you have to. Why are you whining? Hold on. I'm sorry, yo. Now that Dak is the quarterback of the team, you have to allow him to run this team. You have to play to his strengths. And again, he's going to get better. That's inevitable. It's going to happen. So, I say that to say that we have a lot of talent on this team, and we are going to get even more talent in the draft. And I am excited about what we're going to get. But this coaching staff has got to get their head out of their ass and look at it as a whole. You look at the offensive line. Yes, they had their struggles last year. Tyron Smith was hurt. Chaz Green had his hiccup. That game, that Falcons game, Claiborne shouldn't have had all that. He shouldn't have had all them opportunities to sack Dak, because of the simple fact that, like, I think Dak got sacked 32 times last season. That game 6 alone. So my whole thing is this. They should have made in-game adjustments. How many games that we had that you've seen that we go to halftime and we come back and we didn't change the game plan? We do good in the first half. We come out and get our ass busted and lose the game in the second half. That's terrible. That's coaching. That's not the players. So again, Jason Garrett, when you say that Dak needs to get better, you're right. But you do too. Because you are the head of this team and you need to get better as a coach. And you need to get your head out of your Princeton ass and literally get out there and Figure some things out. Get creative. Let's do this. Doug Peterson did it with the Eagles. Why can't you? I know you're not dumb. I just said that you're smart. You're very cerebral. You were a quarterback in this league, so you know what Dak is going through. So when I say Jason Garrett, both Jason Garrett and Linehan were quarterbacks. So why can't you get these guys under control? Because it's weird because when Linehan was with the Lions, he did decent when he had Calvin Johnson. So what's the problem? You get here and all of a sudden it's a breakdown? Now I want to put another thing in perspective. Paul Alexander, our new offensive coordinator, our new offensive line coordinator, he's going to be good for this offensive line because, first of all, they're already talented. He's going to get these swing tackles and Chaz and these other guys. He's going to be able, because when Frank Pollock was here, he wasn't as experienced. Alexander's been with the Bengals for, 20-something years? So I think that was a good addition right there. So like I said, I'm optimistic about a lot of the things that we're going to do this year. Sanjay Law, our new wide receivers coach, he's actually worked with Thompson and I think Hearns too. So he knows these guys. I think a lot of the reason why they're there is here because of him. So again, I think that things are going to get better, but we have to learn we have to change our play calls. That's one. We have to be creative in our plays. We have to have more than 3 or 4 routes in our route trees. You got to move Dez around if he's still going to be here. And you have to be creative. Like that play that Dak snapped the ball, did an end around to Dez, and Dez threw the ball in the end zone to Witten. You should have saved that for the playoffs. But again, that was a good play. Why don't you do stuff like that? Dez can throw the ball 60 yards down the field. You can use Dez in so many different ways. I feel like if Dez was on another team, they would use the hell out of him in so many different of his strengths that we just don't do because we're so conservative, because we have a Princeton coach. And come on, man. Cut that conservative stuff out, man. We need to win. We need to win. We ain't won the Super Bowl since the 90s, and it's stressful. And us fans are stressed out. It's hard to be a Cowboys fan. And again, it's going to continue to be hard until we get better. And I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of commentators talking crap about my team. I'm tired of it. But we got to prove them wrong. And the only way to do that is to win. This season has to be it. So that's all I had to say for tonight, y'all. But thanks again to all my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to me yet, hit that subscribe button. Support your boy. Till next time, y'all. Have a great evening.